coming up next on Hooten's Arkansas football. Last night's high school highlights from all across the state, including deep southwest Arkansas, where the Prescott Curly Wolves and the Nashville Scrappers got after it in a 7 AAA showdown. Class 4A's top team, Stuttgart, visited Sylvan Hills, and the Dover Pirates were at Mayflower. Plus, we'll show you Spring Hill, a small school located near Hope, playing football for the first year and going for its first win against the Foreman Gators. Highlights of those games. Plus, we'll take you to Stuttgart, where a Ricebird cheerleader is this week's Spirit Student of the Week, and to Pulaski Academy, where a hard-hitting linebacker is being honored by the Marines as the Scholar Athlete of the Week. Highlights of up to 15 games, pre-game pep talks, post-game reaction, and the latest top 20 rankings. It's all next. It's Hooten's Arkansas football.
Let's take it to him.
You stuck it to him and you won it.
This is our time of the year.
Check this out.
Hello and welcome to Hooten's Arkansas football. We are halfway through the regular season. It's hard to believe. The conference races are starting to heat up. Playoff races starting to take shape. Going into last night's action now in Class 5A, the state's largest classification, there were 6 teams with perfect records, and 4 of them played each other last night, including Bryant at Little Rock McClellan. Both of those teams were 4-0 headed into last night's action. And Jacksonville and Jonesboro were both undefeated when they met last night. You know, Hurricane Lily blew through Louisiana last week or earlier this week on Wednesday and Thursday. It was the undefeated Jonesboro Hurricane that came to Jacksonville last night, and we'll start with that battle of unbeatens tonight on Hooten's Arkansas football as we kick off our Class 5A highlights.
Jacksonville drove 77 yards on its first series to take a 7-0 lead, and all of it came against a Jonesboro defense that starts 10 seniors. Chris Burns capped the drive with his 7-yard touchdown. Jonesboro would answer on its first possession. Hurricane quarterback Jim Harris avoids the rush, and the lefty throws a pretty spiral 53 yards to Jarvis Vaughn. 3 plays later, Harris would score on a 10-yard quarterback keeper to tie it up at 7. Jacksonville had a chance to regain the lead on its next possession, but the halfback pass by Breetrick Miles is intercepted at the goal line by Jonesboro's Donald Van Pelt. Van Pelt was named All-State as a junior last year, and the veteran Hurricane defense was stingy the rest of the way. Final score, Jonesboro 31, Jacksonville 14. In the other battle of unbeatens, Bryant visited Little Rock McClellan, or the Jungle as it's been labeled. In the first quarter, McClellan senior nose guard Michael Wilkins bulldozes through to make the tackle. Big stop in the end zone. It's a safety, and McClellan led 2-0. McClellan's speed made big plays on offense all night, too. Terrell Sims ran 24 times for 160 yards, and this touchdown, reversing field to score, it was 8-0 McClellan. Bryant was fortunate to be undefeated coming into this game, and quarterback Lance Parker was fortunate to pass for 254 yards because he was under heavy pressure most of the night from guys like number 20, Tyler Knight. The final, McClellan 26, Bryant 20. Little Rock Catholic was looking to end an 8-game losing streak against Little Rock Central last night, and Catholic came out strong. Senior Chance Yoder led the Rockets with 72 yards rushing on the night, and Catholic took a 3-0 lead with this short field goal by Chris Strasser. Strasser had a good night. He also kicked a 33-yarder in the fourth quarter. Central comes right back with smooth sophomore quarterback Clark Irwin running the option. I like this guy, and the Tigers would go up 6-3 with another sophomore, Mickey Dean, falling into the end zone here. Catholic comes back with junior Kyle Stroud. He rushed for 69 yards on the night, including this touchdown on the far side. We finally catch up with Kyle, and that puts the Rockets up 10-6. But Central's sophomores were too much. Dean rushed for 157 yards last week against Conway and totaled 126 yards last night. The sophomore Irwin passes to another sophomore, Stuart Franks, for a 12-yard touchdown. That gave Central a 14-10 halftime lead, and Central holds on to beat Catholic for the 9th straight time, but barely. Final score, Tigers 20, Catholic 13. North Little Rock entered last night's game at Little Rock Hall riding a 15-game losing streak. But the charging Wildcats were confident because Hall had won just once this season. North Little Rock led 12-7 in the third quarter, and this is quarterback Josh Dixon strutting his stuff, breaking a run straight up the middle for a 30-yard gain. And on the next play, Jonathan Smith barrels in for the touchdown, and North Little Rock's on a roll. The charging Wildcats added 2 late touchdowns and picked up its first win in almost 2 years. Final score, North Little Rock 32, Hall 7. Staying in the Week 5A Central Conference champion Conway hasn't lost a game this season, but last night the Wampus Cats hosted Little Rock Parkview in their first game without multi-purpose player Scott Coulter, who is out for the year with a knee injury. But Conway didn't miss Coulter on the opening kickoff. That's his replacement, sophomore Drew Parson, fielding the kick, heading upfield. Down the left sideline, he's pushed out of bounds in Patriot territory. That sets up an 11-play drive. Junior fullback Peyton Hillis caps it with a 2-yard touchdown run. Conway's defense forced Parkview to punt on its first possession. The Wampus Cats would drive again and score on the first play of the second quarter. Quarterback Blake Edwards does it himself, going 14 yards for the touchdown. Conway was up 14-0. Parkview cut the lead to 14-7 at halftime, but Hillis took over from there, finishing the game with 207 yards rushing. And the Wampus Cats are 13-1 when Hillis starts at fullback. The final, Conway 28, Parkview 14. And here's looking at Hooten's Arkansas football Class 5A rankings. The top 5 stays the same from last week. And the top 3 are the 3 that started the preseason, 1, 2, and 3. Springdale on top. The Bulldogs beat Fayetteville last night without its starting quarterback, Brandon Martinez. West Memphis knocked off Cabot, as Hooten's predicted. It was the Blue Devils' first win over Cabot in 7 years. Fort Smith Southside is at number 3 after an impressive win at Russellville. Conway's number 4, and Eldorado 5. Then it's Fayetteville holding on at number 6. Pine Bluff moves up to number 7. The Zebras are undefeated, but we're not sure how good they are. Little Rock McClellan is also unbeaten. Cabot did lose last night, but the Panthers should win their next 3 games with ease. Bentonville is at number 10. Then it's Jonesboro. It's been more than 2 decades since the Hurricane were 5-0. Searcy's number 12. Then it's Northside Bryant down to 14, and Watson Chapel up to 15 after a big win at Camden Fairview. Russellville has lost 3 of its past 4 games and plays at Springdale next week. Jacksonville drops to number 17 and may not make the playoffs. The Red Devils still have Searcy, West Memphis, and Cabot on the schedule. Little Rock Central won its 2nd game of the season last night. Next week, the Tigers are at Bryant. Van Buren moves into the top 20, and Texarkana is 0-5, but could easily win its final 5 games. Coming up next, more of Hooten's Arkansas football, Class 4A highlights, and the Quad A rankings are next. You're watching Hooten's Arkansas football.
Nothing gives commerce the green.
That's what we came down here to do, isn't it? Yes, sir. Seniors, you ready to be a winner? Yes, sir. Blue Dogs, you ready to be a winner? Yes, sir. Captains, lead us out of here. Let's go.
That's Greenwood's second-year coach, Harv Welch, whose Bulldogs have lost just once this season, and that was to Class 5A Fayetteville. Last night, Greenwood taking on Greenbrier at the Briar Patch. Neither team could muster much offense in the first half. Greenwood's first possession ended with a turnover as Greenbrier's Dustin Mize picks off the long pass, and the Panthers had a chance to score first. Quarterback Brandon Moreland passes to Trevor Segrist. Then Moreland will keep it all the way down to the goal line. He didn't get in, but Greenwood's defense would bow up right there. On the second play of the second quarter now, same drive, Rodney Rhodes gets it stripped on 4th down. Greenwood stops the drive, and Greenwood quarterback Kirby Vitale would lead his team to 3 touchdowns early in the second half. Next week, Greenwood plays host to Clarksville in a key 4A West matchup. The final from last night, Greenwood 27, Greenbrier 0. Winless Arkadelphia and winless J.A. Fair hooked up in West Little Rock last night, and somebody had to win, and it would be Arkadelphia. The Badgers built a 14-0 halftime lead. Arkadelphia's quarterback Michael Digman threw 2 touchdown passes, and running back Gyrone Buckley led the Badgers with 106 yards on 21 carries. Final score, Arkadelphia 14, Fair 0. Class 4A's #1 team, Stuttgart, squeezed past Crosset last week, and the Ricebirds were looking for an easier game on the road last night at Sylvan Hills. But Sylvan Hills was jacked up for this one. Quarterback Colby Sanders takes command, keeping right for a first down. A few plays later, Sanders runs the same play for another first down, and the Bears were on the move. Then, on 3rd and goal, Sanders scrambles left, outruns the Ricebirds to the end zone, and the Bears are thinking upset. But Stuttgart comes right back as smooth quarterback Freddie Dancy sucks in Sylvan Hills in the play action, and Dancy finds Colby Starks coming right at you for a first down. 4 plays later, Dancy hits Alan Gentry all alone in the end zone. Stuttgart would take the lead for good just a little bit later. Dancy hits Drew Jacobs on the screen pass, and Drew would shake and bake all the way to the end zone. Stuttgart was up 12-7 and would never trail again. The final, Ricebirds 18, Sylvan Hills 13. The undefeated Hot Springs Trojans invaded 2-time defending 4A Southwest champion Hope last night. Hot Springs junior running back Jeremy Wiggins rushed for 76 yards and 2 touchdowns, including this 3-yarder that gave Hot Springs a 6-0 lead just before halftime. Interim Hope coach Johnny Turner, a 25-year assistant for the Bobcats, tried to rally his team, but the Hot Springs defense was just too much for the Cats. Hot Springs held Hope to 68 yards rushing while racking up 401 yards on the ground. And Hot Springs, your Trojans are legitimate contenders for the conference title. Final score, Hot Springs 33, Hope 21. And here's a look at Hooten's Arkansas football Class 4A rankings. Stuttgart, our preseason #1, is still on top, but barely. The Ricebirds have won their last 2 games by a total of 6 points. Crosset is at #2. There's Alma. The Airedales are 5-0 for the first time in more than 2 decades. Magnolia's #4. Then it's Robinson. Greenwood holding on at 6. Wynn at 7. Hot Springs is 5-0 for the first time in almost 30 years. Beebe is unbeaten and faces Wynn next week. Then it's the Billies, the Bobcats, West Helena, Harrison's Golden Goblins that used some Crooked Creek magic to beat Clarksville last night, 17-14. Bologna has won consecutive conference games for the first time since 1998, and Clarksville drops to #15. Then it's Batesville, Sylvan Hills, the Devil Dogs, Lakeside, and Little Rock Mills at #20.
Now, the Arkansas Department of Higher Education's Spirit Student of the Week.
Football is more than just a game in Stuttgart.
We're the best football team in the state. We're going to win this year.
It's an event.
Everybody comes to town, even people from college. It's just a busy town.
It's Meredith McGee's responsibility as captain of the cheerleaders to see that the crowd stays pumped up and into the game.
And it's also important to be a role model to the younger cheerleaders, and even because when I was a little girl, I watched the cheerleaders, like that's who they watch, and it's important to be a good role model and show your support for the Ricebirds.
Meredith also participates in 3 school clubs, takes dance lessons, plays softball while keeping her grade point average near 3.5.
I have her in class as a student, and she's an excellent student, just always on task, always willing to go the extra step. And as a cheerleader, she just is a wonderful girl. She's a real leader.
I just like being able to see my friends every day on an everyday basis and coming to learn.
On behalf of the Arkansas Department of Higher Education, we'd like to say congratulations, Spirit Scholars. We're proud of all the things that you do in your school, in your community, and working towards a bright future. Keep those grades up. Have a great year.
Thanks a lot, Kathy. And congratulations to Meredith McGee, our Spirit Student of the Week. Coming up next, more of Hooten's Arkansas football. We have highlights from Class 3A, including Pulaski Academy against England, plus a big showdown on the Hill in southwest Arkansas as Nashville played host to Prescott in a key 7 AAA matchup. Highlights of those games and more coming up next. You're watching Hooten's Arkansas football.
Now, more of Hooten's Arkansas football, brought to you by Sonic.
And And we begin our Class 3A highlights tonight with high-flying Pulaski Academy. The Bruins built a 42-0 lead on England last night with quarterback Adam Thrash passing for 239 yards and 6 touchdowns. In the fourth quarter, England was able to score 3 times against PA's reserves. England's quarterback Darrell Burnett, he was a starter last year at Little Rock McClellan. He's hard to handle. And moments later, it's McBride scoring for England. A nice effort down the stretch by the Lions, but PA is back on a roll now since losing at number 1 Warren 3 weeks ago. Last night's final, Pulaski Academy 42, England 24. In 5 AAA play, Dover and Mayflower entered last night's game with perfect conference marks, and it was Dover playing up to a championship level early on. The Pirates took a 20-13 lead in the second quarter, but that's when Mayflower regrouped. Quarterback John Sanson hits Herb Grigsby for an 18-yard gain down to the 1-yard line. On the next play, Sanson calls his own number, scores to make it 20-19. Mayflower would try to take the lead, but the 2-point conversion pass falls out of Buck Credit's hands, and Dover holds on to a 1-point lead. Dover not content to give the ball back to red-hot Mayflower. On 4th down and in punt formation, it's Pirate fullback Michael Beck taking the snap, rumbling left, and guts out an 18-yard gain to put Dover back in business. With less than 20 seconds left in the half, Michael Williams dives in from the 2-yard line for a Dover touchdown. Then Williams takes a pitch around the left end for the 2-point conversion. Dover led 28-19 at halftime, and the Pirates go on to win it. Final, Dover 50, Mayflower 27. The Prescott Curly Wolves traveled to Nashville last night with the look of a Series 7 AAA conference title contender. But Prescott hasn't won the conference since 1999, and it's tough to win on the hill. And Nashville built a 34-14 lead in the third quarter, and junior linebacker Roger Witherspoon steps in front of a Prescott pass. Then Nashville's senior quarterback Drew Curtis goes to work, looking off the defense and finding senior tight end Justin Solis underneath. Then it's Sonic Super Team running back Willie Hobson. He paced all rushers with 235 yards, including this short touchdown run, and Nashville was in control 40-14. Nashville looked to boost its lead in the fourth quarter, but Prescott's secondary stepped up with 2 interceptions. Jeremy Purifoy with the nice pick and return here. A little bit later, watch this play. Purifoy gets good position and tips the pass to teammate Eli Ratcliffe. But Prescott couldn't score off either turnover, and now Nashville is looking forward to playing host to Ashdown next week with the conference title on the line. Final score, the Nashville Scrappers 40, the Prescott Curly Wolves 14.
Yeah, it's a pretty big game considering that Prescott had beat Hope, which Hope had beat us a couple of weeks before this, and they came out at 3-1, and we better team stepped up.
And here's a look at Hooten's Arkansas football Class 3A rankings. Warren is still on top. Ozark beat Booneville 17-13 last night, and the Hillbillies will be the 4 AAA champs. Gosnell plays host to Osceola in a big one next week. Then it's Pulaski Academy, Nashville, Booneville, Ashdown. The Panthers bombed Bismarck last night and traveled to Nashville for the 7 AAA title game next week. Rivercrest is number 8, then it's Pocahontas and DeQueen. Dollarway starts the second 10. The Cardinals scored their first points of the year last night and move into the top 20. Newport is number 12, then it's Clinton. The Yellow Jackets are 5-0 and won a shootout at Dardanelle last night, 40-38. Truman is number 14, then it's Dumas. The Bobcats tumbled 9 spots after being shut out by Dollarway last night. Oak Grove is 16. Prairie Grove may win the 1 AAA after beating Shiloh Christian last night. Dover's 18. There's Osceola and the Curly Wolves at number 20.
Now the Marine Scholar Athlete of the Week.
Pulaski Academy linebacker Peter Weiss enjoys hitting the books almost as much as he enjoys hitting opposing ball carriers.
And like many of our scholar athletes, Peter takes some of the things he's learned on the football field and applies them in the classroom.
It takes a lot of commitment. You've got to be dedicated to get things done in the classroom and out, on the field and off. Just a lot of hard work.
A well-rounded young man. Congrats to Peter Weiss, the Marine Scholar Athlete of the Week.
Thanks a lot, Mark, and congratulations to Peter Weiss, our Marine Scholar Athlete of the Week. And the Pulaski Academies just keep on rolling. Nobody in the 6 AAA is going to touch PA this year. Coming up next, more of Hooten's Arkansas football. Class 2A highlights are straight ahead. We'll show you first-year program Spring Hill trying to win its first game against Foreman. Plus, Little Rock Christian and Little Rock Lutheran, a couple other first-year programs. Highlights of those games coming up next. You're watching Hooten's Arkansas football.
The weather's cooling off, so drive into Sonic and try
Soft football, brought to you by First Security Bancorp.
I wake up in the morning saying, I wish I'd done this better, I wish I'd done that better, I wish I'd went hard on this play. You know what I'm talking about. So don't wake up tomorrow saying I could have played a better football game. Yes, sir. Let's roll. Everybody in here, let's go.
That's first-year Spring Hill coach Tommy Poole urging his Bears to leave it all on the field Friday night. The winless Bears hope to come out of hibernation and notch the first win in school history against 7AA West foe Foreman. But it was the Gators chewing up the yards early. Junior tailback Ronnie Walton picking up nice yardage for Foreman here. Then it's Walton on the pitch around the right side, and the Gators are in the middle of a 14-play drive. Foreman's senior quarterback, Michael Woods, wants to pass, but Spring Hill's rush forces him to scramble, and Woods makes the most of it. But on 4th and goal from the 5-yard line, Spring Hill's defense stiffens and forces the incompletion. And here comes Spring Hill. Junior quarterback Stanley Kimball pitches to sophomore tailback Caleb Askew, who finds a seam on the right side. Askew rushed for 168 yards last night and a couple of touchdowns. But 2 plays later, Foreman disrupts the misdirection, and junior tackle Nick Diedrich pounces on the fumble. And Walton goes to work for Foreman. 6 consecutive runs for the junior, who led all rushers with 205 yards. Walton capped the drive with his 2-yard plunge for a Foreman lead. And the Gators hold on to even their record at 2-2 in conference play. The final, Foreman 22, first-year program Spring Hill 13. Just like Spring Hill, Little Rock Lutheran and Little Rock Christian are fielding their first football teams this year, and the two met last night at Quigley Stadium for Lutheran's homecoming. Christian would quickly wipe away Lutheran's pretty pregame smiles. Christian sophomore quarterback Drew Johnson looked like a veteran passing here. On 4th and long, he hits another sophomore, Caleb Camerunas, for a 17-yard touchdown, and Christian led 7-0. Later in the first quarter, Johnson goes 39 yards to Camerunas again, and that gave Christian a 2-touchdown lead. Lutheran's defense finally said enough is enough, and on this 4th down play, Ryan Odell gets plastered. Lutheran's Willie Eustace and Sam Johnson with the big hit. And there were a few bright spots for Lutheran's offense too. Sam Johnson, who also plays quarterback for Lutheran, tosses to Justin Lynn for the nice gain. Lutheran would not threaten to score until the 4th quarter, but Christian's defense steps up with Bradley Crawford stopping Drew Payne on 4th and goal, and Christian wins its 2nd game of the year. Final score, Little Rock Christian 28, Little Rock Lutheran 0.
We're ready for next week against Danville. We're going to come after them hard, and we're ready to play.
You know, it's first year, and our kids are pretty high on 2 wins, and we want to keep that confidence level up. But we know we got a big task at hand, and our kids are focused. I think they'll step up to the challenge. We just hope we can compete well and play strong and come out victorious.
And here is a look at Hooten's Arkansas football Class 2A rankings. Harding Academy took it easy on Marvel last night, winning 44-6. Junction City likely faces its toughest test in the 7AA East next week at Bearden. Rison can already look ahead to the playoffs. Charleston's number 4, and Barton heads to Carlisle next week for a key 6AA matchup. The Little Johns are number 6, then it's the Go Devils. Gurdon whipped Murfreesboro, which sets up a 7AA West title game in 2 weeks against Mineral Springs. Carlisle is number 8, then it's the Blue Devils and Mineral Springs. Des Arc starts the second 10, then it's Mark Tree, Bearden, the Rattlers, Jesseville. Just got by Bauxite last night. Augusta is number 16, and just when you thought Augusta might be the odd man out in the 6AA playoff race, the Red Devils handle Hazen. That leaves Hazen on the hot seat in that 6AA race. Smackover is number 18. The Buckaroos got a good win over Harmony Grove last night. Salem's 19, and then it's the Hampton Bulldogs at number 20.